Hey, you didn't ask me if I was all that.
I'm sorry, Mr.
No, it's too late.
I'll wait for Ms. Williams.
It's too late.
I'm a little off.
We're waiting.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I hope you can hear me okay. I'd like to welcome you all and call the special called board meeting of the Colleton County School District Board of Trustees, Tuesday, August the 13th meeting to order. I invite you all to stand if you would like for the invocation, followed by the pledge. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father,
as we enjoy a beginning of a new school year, we ask that you open our eyes to see new friends. We ask that you open our ears to hear what our teachers have to say. Father, we ask that you open our minds to learn new things and open our hands to help each other. Father, we ask you to open our mouths to speak kind words and our hearts to love like you do. And now we pray as you taught us to pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed it be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us of our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. At this time, I would like to welcome and thank the TCTC FFA for being our greeters this evening and also representing our mission statement. If you'll come forward.
Can you guys hear me well?
Yes.
Oh. Hello, everyone. Colleton County School District will prepare every student to graduate with the 21st century education to be global competitive for their chosen college or career path. Colleton FFA is a part of the agriculture at classes at TCTC. We average around 140 members annually, and we are part of the National FFA, which currently has over 1 million students as members.
Throughout the year, we compete in several contests like the tractor,
milk quality and products, veterinary science, and many others. We also engage in many leadership activities, from attending camp at the South Carolina FFA Leadership Center to attending the National FFA Convention in Indianapolis, Indiana. We have many local activities such as our plant sale and community service projects that help us demonstrate the FFA mission and motto. The FFA mission is, FFA makes a positive difference in the lives of students by developing their potential for premier leadership, personal growth, and career success throughout the agriculture education. The motto, the FFA motto is, learning to do, doing to learn, earning to live, living to serve. Thank you for supporting us that we do.
We thank
Thank
y'all.
you.
Thank you very much. And also I'd like to recognize the sponsors, Mr. and Mrs. Lutton. I appreciate you being here and bringing your students this evening. Before we begin, I just want to welcome everyone to a new school year. Today was our first day of school, first official full day of school, but our hearts and prayers are with all those that are affected by the floods, and we hope to continue education for all students in any way that you take part, whether it was with us today or virtually, or if you need a few days to catch up. We want to just acknowledge everyone in this time of crisis. Board members, if you'll please join me in the civility pledge. I pledge to build a stronger and more effective school board by advocating for civil engagement, respecting others and their viewpoints, and finding solutions for the betterment of my school district. I thank you. At this time, I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the special called board meeting.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve the special call board meeting agenda that's before us.
Second.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded to approve the agenda as presented. We will be in a special called board meeting and we'll enter into executive session. Following the action taken, we will then enter into our committee of the whole meeting. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. We now are in executive session. I thank you. I'll entertain a motion that we enter back into open session.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion we enter back into open session.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to enter back into open session. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. We're now back in open session. The board had a positive discussion on item 2.01. There's no action to be taken at this time. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn the special called board meeting. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. We now stand adjourned. And we will begin our committee of the whole meeting. I welcome you all. Is there a motion, please, to approve the agenda as presented?
Madam Chair, I make a motion, we approve the agenda for August 13th, 2024 as presented.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the agenda for the committee of the whole meeting, August the 13th. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. The agenda stands approved. I'd like to make note that we do have 5 board members present. Ms. Simmons and Ms. Jones are not with us this evening. Recognitions, Ms. Williams. Identified under recognitions is our core value. Every member of Team Colleton works for kids and makes important contributions towards becoming a world-class school system.
All right. I want to say good afternoon and greetings, Madam Chair. Thank you so much, and to the members of the board and to the public and our staff. I want to thank everyone for being here with us tonight, and I want to start the 2024-2025 school year by recognizing our staff for the hard work that they do. So I want you to know that there was a tremendous amount of work and planning that went into ensuring that we have a successful school year, and it takes a team working together to do that. And I want to say to the Colleton County School District staff that we have an awesome team here, and I am privileged to be the leader of this team. I want to start by recognizing the following groups of staff, and as I call your name, please come up. I'm going to start by recognizing that group that I know I owe $1 million to back there, looking at me smiling. That group that planned our back-to-school convocation. Our back-to-school convocation was held on Friday, August 2nd. And this group planned the entire convocation. I gave them my vision as was given to me by the Teacher of the Year Forum. So they had input and they planted the seed. I talked to this team and they ran with it and they did a wonderful job. So those persons are, and if you're here, please come forward, Miss Allie Utzi, Mr. Brandon Williams, Miss Danielle Hayes, and Miss Diamond Berry. And please give them a round of applause as they come. So we have 2 of the 4 here. And I just want to say thank you again for all of your hard work and dedication. If you would stand here.
Cut to the left. Get Sharon, not me.
All right, the next group, this group planned and implemented our district-wide Professional Development Day that was held on Wednesday, July 31st. And let me tell you, there's a lot of planning that goes into planning sessions for every staff member in the district. That's a lot. Planning facilitators to come in and making phone calls and scheduling. It's a lot that goes into that. So I want to thank the following persons for your hard work. And when I call your name, if you would please come forward. We have Miss Janice Hedden, the leader of the group, Miss Tracy McDonald, Miss Laura Johnson, Miss Christy Duffy, Ms. Danielle Hayes again, Mr. Edward Jones, and Ms. Shakira Green. I want to say to you, thank you. Thank you for a job well done.
She just left you, Allie.
Brandon stood tall. He's trying to like Robert. You weren't. Thank you. If you all would, step up. Stay. Is there another group?
All right, our next group. This group planned and implemented our new teacher orientation, and that was held on Tuesday, July 23rd. So we've been working all summer. July 23rd was when this was held. Lots of coordination here, making sure that all of our new teachers are notified, that there's sessions planned, there's a building that we have that's reserved in classrooms. So I want to thank the Human Resources team for what they did to make our new teacher orientation a success, and I'd like for you to come forward as I call your name. And those persons are Mrs. Wilcie Hamilton, the leader of the group, Ms. Deetra Beaton, Ms. Mayti Stevens, Ms. Catherine Fanchette, Ms. Sherelle Middleton, and again, Ms. Shakira Green.
And all people are hiring very, very good.
Yeah. So they're still working. Well, Diamond was also a part of the group that planned our back-to-school convocation. Thank you, Diamond. Do you all have her certificate? Let's give Diamond a round of applause. I got to take another picture. Good job. And then our last group for tonight, well, almost last group. So we had our back to school bash on Saturday, August 3rd. And notice I said Saturday, August 3rd. So these individuals worked on the weekend, during the week, preparing. After 1,452 individuals at the Back to School Bash. So we would like to recognize those persons who helped, and I'm going to start with Dr. Vanessa Reed, Director of our federal programs. Come forward, the leader of this group. And then also, I'd like to call Mr. Jimmy Wiggins. You know, he's retired. Comes back and he helps with this bash each and every year. It is just a part of his heart. You can feel his passion. So thank you, Mr. Wiggins, for coming back and helping the school district. Also, Ms. Tangela Green, Ms. Tamika Washington, Ms. Robin Fitch, Ms. Concepcion de Santiago, and Ms. Kalia Washington. Come forward. Thank you all for an awesome job on Saturday,
Yes.
August 3rd. It was awesome.
Good place, Dr. Wright. Good place.
Almost done. And we have one additional group, and this group, they put out, I think it was 50 50 or more signs stating that school started on August 5th, and they went around in our community and they put all of the signs out. So I want to thank Miss Mary Jo Fox and Miss Brandy Bozeman for the work they did in making sure everybody was notified that school started on August 5th. So come up, Mary Jo. We'll have to get somebody else to take your picture. All right. Again, I just want to say thank you for all that you do for our district. And at this time, we ask that you, let's see, how can we do this? So, yeah, turn around. Thank you. And you can shake our board members' hands.
Thank you all.
Yes. There you go. Here's the coordinator. There you go.
Should have known that was individual.
Thank you, Ashley. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Lindsay. We appreciate you. Thank you, Ms. Green. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you, Sylvia. Thank you,
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
We appreciate you, Mr. Wiggins.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Do you have any other recognitions?
That concludes the recognitions for tonight. And I just want to say, you know, it's good to see the staff smile, because when they smile, I smile. And when they work and do their work, they make me look good. So continue making me look good. Thank you, staff, for all that you've done.
I can also recognize the original 6 sponsors that are present and with us. I want to
Yes.
say thank you to you for all that you do and appreciate your sponsorship and partnership. Thank you.
Yes. Yes, and they will be coming up soon for a short presentation as well. But thank you to the Original 6 Foundation. We do appreciate you.
Okay. Is there any public input? Hearing none, the chairman's report. We'd like to report board members and community that the South Carolina School Board Association recently met this past weekend for the school law conference. We did have 2 board members and our superintendent attend, Ms. Simmons and Mr. Irwin. Ms. Williams, Mr. Irwin, is there anything you would like to share about your experience this weekend?
You want to go first?
I can go first, yeah. So thank you, Madam Chair. And the school law conference was very good. It was very insightful. And there was a lot of discussion about some of the trends that are taking place in school law and the current laws and policies that we must be aware of that are being handed down by the state and also federal laws as well. I did attend all of the general sessions, and I also attended some breakout sessions. I attended 3 of those. One was federal law trends and what that means for your boards. I also attended IDEA 2024 news and updates, and that one was loaded, Dr. Durden. And then number 3, grab bag, avoiding legal risk from the top down. A few of the things, you know, as I was reflecting on what is it that I'm going to take back to my school district to make sure that we're doing, well, all of it, because we want to be in compliance. But a few of the things that I thought about was that we have to make sure that we have digital accessibility for all, and there are certain laws that govern that, so we have to make sure of that. And we will also ensure that our staff is aware that when they post certain things on social media, that they must be very careful, because even liking a post is equivalent to them repeating it. So liking a post is equivalent to your speech. So that is something that I'm going to make sure that we reiterate to our principals, to make sure that that gets down to our staff, so that they know that it's important for us to be very careful with what we do on social media.
Thank you, Ms. Williams.
Yeah, it was, I know Ms. Allison is joining us via phone, so this does not apply to our attorneys, but a lot of times sitting in a room and listening to attorneys talk all day is not a good thing. But this conference really was. There was a lot of information. I have Superintendent Williams already spoken with Ms. Mary Jo Fox yesterday to make sure all of our websites were in compliance with some of those rules that they said. But there was a lot of good information. Special ed, again, is one of those areas where there are so many ever-changing laws that we need to make sure that we're in compliance, as Superintendent Williams said. But it was a great conference. We got lots of information, and I'm sure some of it is going to be reflected in policies that we will be bringing up through the policy committee in the next few months.
Thank you very much for attending and sharing that information. And I know there'll be more recognition and of the information gathered as we proceed this year.
Madam Chair, let's thank our attorneys, because I know they were in attendance as well as sponsors for that event, so thanks to them, and those that were able to go to downtown Charleston after the flood.
And our attorneys were actually presenters at sessions and did a very good job as well. So.
Yes, they did.
Thank you, Halligan, Mahoney, and Williams.
Yep.
The additional identified meetings, the Regional Advocacy Meeting, board members, is scheduled on September the 18th. Ms. Linda Hyman can register you for that event. It is a local meeting that we hope all board members and Ms. Williams, Superintendent, can attend. It will be held at Well Branch, I think, Elementary School, and will be for our region, which includes Hampton, Jasper, Colleton, and Dorchester 4. It's an important date if you'll put that on your calendars. Also, Beyond the Basics is a conference that will be held as a day-long conference in Columbia on October the 10th, and will include a panel from the State Department. So board members, mark that on your calendars as well, and please get with Ms. Hyman for registration. Before moving forward, I just want to make a comment and note that our agenda format has changed slightly, and as you'll see, the speakers are somewhat limited. The reports are going to be a little bit more consolidated, and in hopes that our information to you will be more easy to digest, and you'll see the support of our board in the presentation of the information this evening. Is there any unfinished business? Hearing none, I will move on to new business. As there is none, we'll move on to policy items. Our policy committee met yesterday. Mr. Irwin.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. We did meet yesterday, had a very productive meeting, and we do have, I think we ended up with 3 policies that we're going to move forward with for first reading at the next available meeting. I think we're going to try to do it at the next meeting. And then we have several others that we're still waiting on some more guidance from the state as far as laws that are being passed and stuff. But we do have 3 that we will be bringing, if the agenda permits, at the next meeting for first reading.
Thank you. That agenda will be set Thursday, so if those are to be presented, if you'll make sure they're on the agenda. Superintendent's report, Ms. Williams. Identified with the superintendent's report is the core value: effective leadership supports learning and optimal performance for all students.
All right, thank you again, Madam Chair, and to members of the board and members of the public, our staff. My first slide, if you would advance, the first slide, I wanted to just recap some of the things that we did to begin the school year, and basically I've already talked about that because our staff came up and I talked about all of the activities that we had before school started. So if you would go to the next slide, Ms. Fox. One of the district's goals is to make sure that we partner with our community for the benefit of our students and staff, and I want to acknowledge all of the community donors for their outpouring outpouring of support for our school district. And I know that this is a lot of names, but I want to make sure that I acknowledge everyone for their generosity. And they include school supplies that were given to us from the Charles W. Gale Jr. Endowment and Scholarship Foundation, and also Gel Foods, and then back to school convocation, those items that were donated to us for door prizes and different things were Stevens Funeral Home, Pelican Snowballs, Sugar Bees Bake Shop, Burger King, Ivanhoe Cinemas, Knock on Wood Confectionery Kitchen, Big Head Ed's Food Shed, G&L Landscaping Services, Jaquante Firm and Company, Barrel House Grill, Low Country Lanes, Kelly Services, Jasmine Thomas and the Dolls, Cake Face Beauty Bar, Colleton County First Steps, Realty One Group Coastal, Anderson Cleaners, Melinda Risher, American Insurance Center, Lisa Westfall Thompson, Low Country Solar Clean and Pressure Washing, and then for our Back to School Bash, the Original Six Foundation, and also the University of South Carolina, Salkehatchie. And I just want you to please give these organizations a round of applause for their generosity to the Colleton County School District. And then in addition, on the next slide, we were very just thankful to one of our local attorneys who was able to secure discounts for our staff from the following businesses. And I say local attorney because this attorney, he doesn't want any type of thanks or anything, but I would be remiss not to say we thank Attorney Dwayne Buckner for his just tenacity in going out to the community to get these discounts for our staff. And those discounts are coming from IHOP, IGA Hot Bar and Deli, Colleton Coffee, Sonic, Papa John's, Soulful Taste Food Truck, Big Ed Smash Burger Food Truck, Bucky Seafood and Deep Southern Cooking, Low Country Nutrition, Bear Cafe, and Pelican's Snowballs. So please, let's give those community donors a round of applause as well.
Superintendent Williams, before we move forward, can you just clarify, you said those discounts were for our staff.
Mm-hmm.
Is that for all year, or was that just for?
All year.
Oh, okay.
All year,
That's
all
awesome.
staff, teachers, staff, everyone who works with the Colleton County School District.
Thank you very much to those businesses for recognizing our staff in that way, and that's awesome.
Most definitely. All they have to do is show their ID, and they can get these discounts.
That's awesome. Thank you to those businesses.
Yes. Okay, then came Tropical Storm Debbie. So I want to say that, you know, we came together as a family, and there will be more recognitions at our next meeting to recognize those persons who just helped us pivot very fast in order to get those Chromebooks issued for our students so that we transition to an e-learning day the next day. And as you know, we still have families that are displaced, and I would just like to ask that we keep those families in our thoughts and prayers, that life returns to normal for them. But I just want to commend the staff for all that they did to make sure that our students still had learning experiences. And then the next slide.
Ms. Williams, before you go on,
Yes.
I appreciate that you were able to, you know, make things happen for our school district to get back on track, you and your staff and the technology, everyone, I know, worked together. Is it too early to ask, you had folks call in today if there were, you know, concerns about getting in? Is it too early to ask for approximately how many were affected today?
Yes, I know that we had about 12 calls. Is that right, Dr. Wright? We had about 12 calls because in our messaging, we asked families to call the Office of Student Services if they were still having issues and trouble, and they did. We had about 12 to call, and then for the buses, we had approximately 4 or 5 students who took advantage of the hubs that we developed for those families that needed to bring their children to an elementary school in order to get them to the middle or high school. So we did have families to take advantage of that.
Thank you, Ms. Williams, and hats off to our bus drivers and everyone with the fog this morning and making those adjustments.
Thank you.
As well as to the patience of everyone in trying to decide what to do for the best for everyone. It was not easy, and there was a lot of appreciation from individuals and patients, certainly, as we are just all working to try to get it right. So thank you.
Thank you. And I want to say that, you know, I'm very grateful that our communication efforts worked really well by establishing a certain time that the public was notified. And I just want to, I don't want to take credit for that, but I want to thank Dr. Wright for his foresight and his vision in that. And it did help because parents knew at 4 o'clock, you know, they would be getting that information. And we did have parents that were on social media that were answering questions from others, and they said, you'll find out at 4 o'clock. So,
Ma'am, for those that don't know, can you just quickly tell them the kind of information you receive at the emergency preparedness meeting? And then the steps, you know, you follow, just briefly for those that don't understand, you don't just make a decision by flipping a coin.
yeah, so there were several emergency meetings that were held with local and state officials, and they gave us updates as far as, you know, what the chances of precipitation would be each day. They talked about things like the water levels and how they would rise, and, you know, right now, well, I know that we were in the high range of, you know, the water rising really high, and I think we were at 17 feet of water, and I think the normal range or the moderate range is 10, right? Can you clarify that for me, Dr. Wright?
Said it exquisitely, Madam Superintendent. We gave updates to the team about that water level from the Edisto River, and we followed the prescription given to us by emergency management. And according to the information that we received, we have experienced historic levels of rainfall in our county as a result of Hurricane Debby, to include the level of our river of flooding. And as communities are still trying to recover from that, that river is still in the recession process.
Yes. So that information was very, very helpful to help us in making those decisions that we made as far as e-learning days, or if we were going to not have school at all. And I believe that as a team, we made the best decisions for the safety of our community.
And aren't the State Department and the roads that are closed and all those things, the Highway Department are in those meetings, so you were able to look at our bus routes and identify information as far as making decisions?
So, well, that information actually came from our transportation department. So they actually looked at those bus routes and identified those stops that would be affected. Any other questions? Okay, so each month I highlight a business or a community partner who works with our district to promote success, and tonight I am highlighting the Original Six Foundation. And so at this time I ask that Ms. Kara Meter and Mr. Nick Washington come forward, and they are going to do a brief presentation for you concerning what the Original Six Foundation does for our district.
Hey, everybody.
Thank you so much for allowing us to be here. My name is Kara. Nick's going to be up here in a second. And I will just say, you talked about partnerships, Superintendent Williams, and we feel so proud to partner with Colleton County School District. And this woman is such a woman of action that when I was down recently to speak to her about the BASH and partnering this year through after-school programs in My First Library, I said, you know, a lot of folks don't know who we are. And she said, huh. Can you be down here today? And so we just really appreciate the opportunity to be here. You may have heard us associated with the Back to School Bash, but the Original Six Foundation, we're a statewide organization, a nonprofit, and we work with public schools around the state to fulfill learning goals for different school districts when it comes to after-school programming and early literacy programming. And all of our programming is offered to students at no cost. And to tell us a little bit more about that, we created this short presentation, and Nick and I will team up here to tell you a little bit more about us.
Good afternoon, everybody. As it relates, we have two primary programs. Our main flagship program is our 06 After School program. Currently, we have 12 programs across the state, 2 of which are in Colleton County, one at Cottageville Elementary and the second at Northside Elementary. In addition to that, we have our additionally statewide program, which is My First Library, which provides books to rising first graders, which we'll talk about in a second. And we have 38 of those programs this last May, and 4 of which are in Colleton County, which were at Bells Elementary, Blackstreet Elementary, Cottageville, and Hendersonville Elementary schools.
This is a picture from Cottageville. We worked this year with Bojangles and Dominion Energy to help sponsor this program. If we could go to the next slide, we look at the statistics. And My First Library, as Nick mentioned, does focus on kindergarten students, rising first grade students. We want to put books into the hands of young people. It is amazing this day and age. Some folks don't understand, you know, how could a child not have books at their house? But it's a sad truth of where we are. A lot of folks are struggling to put food on the table. So we try to work to help supplement those teachers and students in public schools by allowing students to choose 10 books of their choice for free. It expands access to the books. We encourage them to read them with their parents and guardians. We work with Bojangles to do a book log, and we encourage the students to bring the book log back in, and Bojangles provides a gift card for a Bo Biscuit upon completion of that form. In Colleton County alone, we worked with a number of students.
Yes, so over the last 2 years, which essentially were May of this year and May of last year, the last 2 academic years, we served 806 kindergarten students, which are essentially all kindergarten students were enrolled in your district at that time. We provided just over 8,300 books during that time period, and it cost us roughly over $14,000 to reach all of these students. And again, as Kara said, all of them were able to go through and select 10 books of their choice, which, as we know, increased the likelihood of them picking up and reading during the summer months.
And those dollar figures are just in Colleton County alone. Of course, we're in 38 other schools. Our next program is what we call 06 After School, Original 6 After School, and we do partner with 12 schools in 8 districts. These are some of the pictures. We promote, obviously, education, homework assistance, but with Nick's leadership, we're trying to incorporate a lot of fun activities, expanding with partners in Colleton County to offer STEM activities, and also to tap into your art community in the Colleton County area. And to tell you more about that, we'll go to the next slide.
So yeah, so our program targets, first off, homework assistance. As we know, that's additional support for the students that are often needed during those after-school hours. But primary focus in terms of effort is interactive learning, hands-on learning, interactive, engaging the students to spark their curiosities on learning. In addition to that, we do target academic enrichment, so that's very school specific. All of our programs look unique, but they target the needs of each academic needs of their students, whether it's grade level, ELA, mathematics. We work with our schools to identify what framework works for them. And from 2nd through 8th grade, which is the span of our program coverage, we target career exploration, whether that means conversations about it. We're introducing some new technology in terms of STEM that are VR and elementary specific, as well as some new apps we're adding this year. again, over the past 3 years, we're entering our third year at both schools this year in our 06 After School program. We've reached over 300 students with, again, over $140,000 invested in these areas. And again, these go directly to the cost of covering the students as well as cost of covering the teachers, as well as the materials that we cover and use. So.
The other thing that we're really proud of is we really try to see it to be it, right? A lot of students, especially in rural and underserved areas, they don't know what they don't know. They haven't seen different occupations when it comes to career exploration or even just had some hands-on experiences. So COVID put a damper in our field trips, but Nick worked really hard to bring them back in full force this year. We believe in partnerships, and we talked about partnerships earlier, Superintendent Williams did in the meeting. We're trying to increase those partnerships for the benefit of all the students. Again, we invite all students at both Cottageville and Northside to take part in this after-school program free of charge. And part of the reason we're here is to help spread that message, to let folks know that it's available. Some of the field trips and partnerships that we took advantage of this year and offered to the kids included partnerships with USC Salkehatchie and STEM ambassadors who visited the schools and did hands-on activities with the kids. That's kind of the middle right-hand picture there. And I just came from meetings this morning with both USC Salkehatchie and then the wonderful people at Colleton County Museum, the Civic Center and Children's Theater, had meetings with them earlier. When I say that this woman is a woman of action, when Nick and I sat down with Superintendent Williams last year, at the beginning of last school year, and said, hey, what can we do? And she said, man, I'd love to see more arts, like art programs in our after-school program. Well, who should we contact? And this woman takes out her cell phone, and we joked about it today. She's giving us phone numbers. We actually called a couple of folks from this community, and they were out somewhere in Savannah or something, but answered their phone because she was calling, and that resulted in relationships that brought programs where the kids were allowed to create their own screenplay and perform their own plays. They had history lessons from the museum. It was incredible. So it's been a great year. And I also want to recognize the Congaree Foundation in the top left-hand side of the screen there. Through a partnership that the Original Six Foundation had with Congaree Foundation, we were able to bring students to an exclusive Congaree golf course, bring the students on and learn STEM in regards to golf, like different angles and the velocity of balls, you know, hitting golf balls. A lot of these students had never held a golf club before. When you talked about golf, it was like, oh, is that Top Golf, you know, the kind of driving range where people can eat, you know, eat out. So it was a really neat experience in exposing students to opportunities that they've never had before. So we, again, are looking forward to another really productive year. Nick is amazing, and he is in touch with so many folks from around the community, and we welcome your input. Please help spread the word about us. If there are folks out in this community that we haven't tapped into yet, whether it's an attorney that wants to lend their experience of how they did it to someone in the medical or healthcare field, to bring them in and talk to the students to doing a hands-on STEM activity, we want to partner with folks in this community. And then also just to say, at this point, we receive no state or federal funding. We are able to do what we do so far through fundraisers, private grants, and donations. So also we're looking to connect with industry and employers in this area that might be interested in, you know, investing in an after-school program, but more than that, and coming from this meeting with both USC Salkehatchie and the arts community and the museum. We're looking at ways that we can work together and write grants together in order to basically benefit the whole community, but encompass the whole community. So if you have connections that you feel like would be a good fit to connect with us at the Original Six Foundation, Kara and Nick, and I'm going to leave some literature behind. So any questions before we say goodbye?
Just appreciation.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
so much, everybody. And we'll look forward to hopefully seeing a lot more of you and a great year. Thank you, Superintendent Williams.
Thank you.
ends my report. I want to say also just thank you to the Original Six Foundation, and they did mention a few community organizations that deal with the arts, and I want to just thank Ms. Jenny Bunton with the Colleton Theater, and also Ms. Sheila Kearse with Community Innovations that are partnering with the Original Six Foundation to bring this programming to our students. So thank you once again. And this ends my report.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Would you like to introduce our next presentation?
Sure. Sure, let me look at my... Okay, next we will have our report by our very new interim assistant superintendent, Dr. Cordelia Jenkins, and I want to introduce her. Am I wrong? I'm not right. HR. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I looked at the, okay. I'm sorry. Ms. Hamilton. She's not new. She's been with us for years. Thank you so much, Ms. Hamilton.
We'll recognize you.
You have to wait, Dr. Jenkins, for that introduction.
Good evening.
Good evening.
As Ms. Williams mentioned, HR has been super busy, but it's been a good busy. So on July 18th, we sponsored or hosted the district's annual Teacher of the Year, Support Employee of the Year celebration. We want to say to we want to salute all of our teachers of the year, support employees of the year, but want to give a special shout out to Ms. Tamara Johnson, the administrative secretary at Cottageville Elementary School, who was named the district support employee of the year, and Bonnie Hunt, teacher at Bells Elementary School, for being named Teacher of the Year. On Tuesday, July 23rd, we welcomed 52 new employees to our school district. During this session, our new employees received ID badges, email addresses, they enrolled in payroll, benefits, and other things to get them ready for the first days of school. So we're excited about that. I have listed for you the vacancies at each location for your review. I will say that at the high school, there is one change. So the art teacher position was filled today, late this afternoon, and so that takes their total down to 8. We have a total now of 8 full-time teachers, with 2 of those being temporary until our international teachers get here. And then I listed for you the number of international teachers we have at each location that we are waiting on arrival. We had 4 to come in this weekend and were in place on yesterday. And I will be glad to answer any questions you have.
Ms. Hamilton, I have a question about our full-time teachers. Those are virtual teachers
That's
that
correct.
will be in the classroom, and those are present, you said, in 2 classrooms where an international teacher is to come. Just question on how that works, before, where there was a vacancy that a full-time teacher had, there was a question about whether or not that is truly a vacancy, because of the contract that we have with Full Mind is for the duration of the year. So does Full Mind, is that like a Full Mind substitute? How does that work?
So Full Mind, for the temporary positions, I'll answer that question first.
Okay.
So we have them on temporary status. So when I do the requisition, I'll say, hey, this is temporary. The ETA for this in-person teacher is September 1st.
Okay.
And so they know that that's the duration of that contract. And then once they arrive, I just inform them that the teacher has arrived, and then we reach out to IT to terminate those email services.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. It's just, but just in the understanding of how it has worked before, we really could not terminate a Full Mind.
So we always could. So if we found an in-person teacher, we do list it as a vacancy. And if we find an in-person teacher, we just reach out to the virtual staffing committee and then say, hey, our principal has found an in-person teacher, effective. We try to give 2 weeks notice.
Okay.
Give them a 2 weeks notice so that they can look for something else somewhere else.
Oh, good to know.
Yeah.
Thank
Yep.
you.
So we are actively filling those positions.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Questions, Ms. Hamilton?
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hamilton. At this time, we ask that Ms. Barrett come with our finance report.
Good evening to the board. Good evening to everyone. The Colleton County School District Minority Business Enterprise Plan. Because we are on the state procurement code, the South Carolina Consolidated Procurement Code requires that all school districts or agencies that have adopted a procurement code that is substantially similar to the state code and you must formulate a business enterprise utilization plan, which is called the MBE plan. The MBE plan is designed to ensure that minority business are offered this opportunity to fully participate in the overall procurement process of the district. The Board of Trustees, therefore, will support procedures that will result in awarding contracts and some subcontracts to minority businesses firm in order to enhance minority capital ownership, overall district, and state economic developments. Okay, the Minority Enterprise Plan overview. A minority person, according to the state, mean a United States citizen who is economically and socially disadvantaged. Socially disadvantaged individuals mean those individuals who are members of the following group: African American, Hispanic American, Native American, including individuals recognized as American Indians, Eskimos, Aleuts, and Native Hawaiians, Asian Pacific American, and women. Personal net worth of a disadvantaged owner cannot exceed $1.32 million. And a socially economic disadvantage small business mean any small business concern which is at least 51% owned by one or more citizens of the United States who are determined to be socially and economically disadvantaged. And in the case of a concern which is a corporation, 51% of all the class of the voting stock of such corporation must be owned by an individual, this is determined to be socially and economically advantaged, and such individual must be involved in the daily management and operation of the business in order to be considered a minority business. And this is some of our goals that we have for 24-25 that the district have. We want to expand the training for vendors on completion of the MBE form, because there's a process that we have to go to, for them to have to go to in order to become a MBE certification. It's a certification form that has to be filled out with the state, and it's a long process. We want to be able to help them do that. We want to identify capable, responsible MBE firms interested in doing business with the district. We want to provide technical assistance to MBEs to maximize their opportunity to provide goods and service to the district. We want to maintain a list of all state-certified MBEs and send each MBE that can provide the goods and service on their contract a copy of the bid or other information to notify them when we have some kind of opportunity or contract with the district. And then we want to advertise in the community media in an effort to make MBEs aware of the opportunities to do so with the district. And we want to include at least one minority business, a small business, minority women, a small SBE, in all bid and solicitation when it's applicable, when it's available. We try to make sure we ensure that we have those persons in the solicitation if we can. Any question on that? Okay. Finance update. In compliance with Proviso 1.3 Section G in the State 24-25 General Appropriation Act, the district shall report monthly to the Department of Education the monthly fund balance that will be used to calculate an average fund balance for the district. The Department of Education has established procedures for district to report monthly estimated fund balance information as required by the 20th of each month. Only the three elements that were required, they want us to tell them the district name and the month reported and the general fund balance for that month. This is a new proviso that was given to us by the state for us to make sure that they keep up with our fund balance on a monthly basis now, instead of returning to them on a yearly basis. Okay, when you look at our monthly revenue comparison, we have a local revenue. For July of '24, we have $84,861.92, and that consists of our LGIP, our local government pool investment interest that we received for the month of July, and that's included a little bit that we got from our regular bank. In July of '23 is the funds the interest that we received from our bank account in July of '23. And the change was $83,726, which was an increase that we got last year for this year. And if you look at our revenue report, you might see there's a credit balance on there. When it's a credit balance and revenue, that means that we have over the budget for our revenue that's coming in. We collected more than what we budgeted because we did not know at the time what we was going to get when we started this LGIP program. So we are already over what we budgeted with that program. So the EIA state funding, in last year we had $2.3 million approximately. This year we are getting 2.4, which is an increase of $26,869.97, which is an increase. Federal fund, we haven't claimed anything yet because we're trying to close out everything. But last year we did have a little bit of funding that we was able to claim earlier, and that was $163,702.52, which was a decrease from what we have according to this year. Food service, we have revenue of $2.7 million. I mean, $2,728 cents, and that was just normally local revenue that's coming in. And last year we had $602.95, which is an increase from last year of $2,097.33. So in total for revenue, we had $2.5 million roughly, and last year we had $2.556. So we have a decrease in our revenue from last year of $51,008.62. Our monthly expenditures. So for this year, the general fund, we had like roughly $1.6 million, and last year we had $1.2 million. So we had an increase in our general fund expenditures about $391,000. In our special revenue, this year we had $504,949.10, which was the increase, and last year we had $188,012.51, where we also had an increase in our expenditures of $16,936.59 from last year. In our federal funds, for our expenditures, we had $117,599.02. And last year, this time, we had $165,329.29 cents. We had a decrease in our expenditures of $47,709.27. Food service, this year we have $10,301.27 for the expenditures, and last year we had $24,004.67 of expenditures. So we have a decrease in food service expenditures of $13,703.40. So our total expenditures for this July of fiscal year is $2,324,681.25. Last year, our expenditures was $1,977,201.46. So we have an increase in expenditures of $347,479.79. Any questions?
I do. I just want to just make sure that the board understands and clarify when Mrs. Barrett was going over the general fund, the 100 fund, and she made a statement that we are over what we budgeted. That is a positive thing. So if you look at where it says page 1 of 1, and it's the 100 general fund, and the third line item says interest on investments, and then if you look over, you will see it says remaining balance, and there's a negative sign there. It says negative $69,000 $69,801.92. That's because this year we've gained more money in interest, $84,000, as compared to what we earned last year, which was $15,000 for the whole year. So already we've gained $84,000, and that negative sign is a positive thing because we're over what we budgeted for. So I just want to make sure that you understand that.
Yes, anything that we have in revenue that is a negative, it's a good thing. Anything that you have in expenditures that are negative is a bad thing because we overspent. And the other one is we got in more revenue than we budgeted.
Ms. Williams, do you want to go into detail as to what that interest is being held for, or how we can use that money, or can it be used?
Well, yes, we can use that money, but at this time, we're not utilizing the money now for any district needs at this time. When there's a need for the use of the money, I will make sure that I notify the board of that.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Barrett. At this time, I'll call on Dr. Jenkins for the Academic and Student Affairs Report. In representing the Academic and Student Affairs Report, the core value is our core purpose is teaching and learning.
And Chair Whitkin, if I can, please, I just want to introduce Dr. Jenkins. She is our new interim assistant superintendent of academics and student affairs, and we're so happy to have her to serve in this position. Dr. Jenkins has a plethora of years in education. She has served as a classroom teacher, she served as an assistant principal, she served as a principal, she served as a district leader, and now in the role as interim assistant superintendent. So we're very happy to have her in this role, and if you all would please give her a round of applause.
Thank you, Dr. Jenkins.
Thank you. Thank you, Superintendent Williams. To our esteemed Madam Chairperson, Madam Vice Chairperson, esteemed school board members, and Superintendent Williams, I am addressing you today with great enthusiasm to provide updates from the Division of Academics and Student Affairs. Our division comprises the Office of Curriculum and Instruction, the Office of Federal Programs, the Office of Adult Education, the Office of Student Support Services, the Office of Exceptional Learning, and the Office of Student Health. However, for brevity, I will focus on selected updates today. The Office of Curriculum and Instruction team hosted the district's Professional Development Day on Wednesday, July 31st at Colleton County High School from 8:30 to 3:30. There were 27 professional learning sessions, including sessions on English language arts, math, safety, multi-tiered systems of support, and personal health. There were also goal planning sessions for our professional school counselors, our global career development facilitators, and our positive support behavior specialists. The Curriculum and Instruction Office also updated and implemented the e-learning plan that was utilized during our inclement weather schedule due to the challenges from Tropical Storm Debbie. The State Department of Education implemented the e-learning program to allow school districts to make up short-term disruptions to in-person teaching and learning. We utilized 3 e-learning days. Okay, next. The Office of Federal Programs is working towards finalizing federal programs grant applications. They are also planning after-school programs in collaboration with various district and school leaders. The after-school programs are scheduled to begin September 9th. Colleton Adult Learning Center's fall semester courses have begun. Day classes will run Mondays through Thursdays from 8 to 11 a.m., and evening programs will be held on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 5 o'clock to 8 p.m. Our South Carolina High School diplomas classes are scheduled on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 1 p.m. And just to emphasize and highlight, transportation is free for all Calc learners via Breeze bus service. Okay. Thus far in the Office of Student Support Services, we have updated the 2024-25 Student Code of Conduct and Parent Resource Guide, and we're making all of those updates according to what's expected. Now we're beginning the school year with zero tolerance for fighting in all secondary schools, and just know that our Code of Conduct and our progressive discipline plan, our PDP will highlight those changes, and we'll make certain it's highlighted for our parents, okay? So everyone will understand. We are also working in collaboration with the Office of Safety and Security to update the student enrollment form to include the student's preliminary status of enrollment when they're transferring in or requesting a transfer into our district. This concludes my report at this time. I will be glad to entertain any questions.
And before those questions, I just wanted to reiterate the e-learning plan. So when our district transitions to e-learning, there are certain requirements that we have to follow per the state. And I don't want to put Ms. Hedden on the spot, but if you do have any questions concerning that e-learning, she may be able to answer those for you. But I just wanted you to know that e-learning doesn't just mean, okay, our kids, you know, they have their Chromebooks and they just get on the Chromebooks. There's certain requirements that we have to follow per the State Department of Education. Go ahead, Mr. Holmes.
And Superintendent Williams, just on that point, we are limited to how many e-learning days that we can use, right?
Yes, we are.
Okay, and that is not a decision that we've made. That is a state mandate on those days.
That's
so
correct.
I just want to make sure that our public understands that. We can't just mark every day as an e-learning day because we are only allotted so many for the entire year.
That's
and
correct.
Unfortunately for us, we've already needed to use some in the very first 2 weeks of school, of what should have been the first 2 weeks of school. So I do want to make sure that our community is aware. Sometimes the choices we would like to make are not available to us to make because of mandates from the state or whatever, and e-learning
Right.
days is one of those.
Yes.
Thank you.
And just to elaborate a little more on that, thank you for bringing that up, Mr. Irwin. So we do have 5 e-learning days per year. We've used 3 of those days thus far. Last week, Thursday and Friday, we did not have school. So those 2 days we're going to have to make up. We do have 3 makeup days within our calendar. So we're going to have to, at this point, use 2 of those makeup days that are in our calendar. And then if anything else happens, if there are other emergencies, then we'll have to plan for those as well. But thank you for bringing that up, because I do want staff and parents to know that the days that we were out of school and did not have e-learning, we will need to make those days up.
And again, Superintendent Williams, just for clarity for our public, the reason why you and your staff chose not to do e-learning days on Thursday and Friday is because we didn't want to use all of our e-learning days in the very first week of school.
That's
so that's
correct.
why part of what led y'all into the decision of saying Thursday and Friday would not be e-learning days, just so we wouldn't blow through all of
That's
those.
exactly right.
Thank you.
Is it safe to say, Ms. Williams, that the first inclement weather day is October the 9th? That is
Yes.
going to be a full day of instruction, and then moving on into the second semester, and the 7th
That's
of
correct.
January. So for all those that need to, that is a full day of instruction, October the 9th. And January the 7th. How does that affect our first semester and course instruction for block scheduling?
At this time, it should not. I would have to, let me research that and get back with you with an answer. I don't want to speak and not give you the right information, but let me research that and I'll get back with you.
Okay. A point of note is that we have taken the full week off of Thanksgiving, so I know that that is going to affect a lot of vacations, and if that is a week that we need adjustment to, the sooner individuals can make those adjustments, the better.
Thank you for having that discussion. I echo that we notify, the public with our website and the other wonderful ways. I think parents like the dollar and, ways that they know those calendar days that are built in will be used.
Okay, most definitely.
And I do want to say very quickly, I do want to give a shout out to our communications department. I have seen some chatter maybe online that our communications department is communicating too much. And as a board member, I just want to say thank you, because I don't think there's any such thing as too much communication. So thank you very much for making sure that that information is out there and it's available for people. It is always better for people to complain that they're being told too much as opposed to being told not enough. So thank you very much for the efforts of our communications department.
Thank you, Dr. Dinkins. Any other questions?
Just to echo that, I was really pleased that Superintendent Williams, you would notify the staff that you could, and then the principals, so they knew things prior to everyone in the public knowing. And I just want to commend you for that, having been a building level principal, that they could answer questions better because you'd given them that information and time to digest it and then rolled out the information to everyone. So thank you for that tiered approach.
Moving on to ESSER update, the core value recognized in the ESSER update is organizational development and professional growth opportunities for all employees are essential to becoming a world-class school system. Dr. Reed.
Absolutely. Good evening, board members.
Good evening.
I have a very brief report that you have in your packet, and I know you're eager to find out where we are with the status of the ESSER funds. Right now, we are in a fiscal pause. All of our fiscal systems, along with some of the other programs that we have under Mrs. Barrett, we're in the process of reconciling those systems. I will have a more complete report for you after the 15th, because that's when we're going to file our claims. So it's enough that we've got the money, we've spent the money, now we're going to draw down the money and reimburse ourselves, so we'll have a better idea in terms of what is remaining. We're spending, we have full confidence that we will get all these dollars out of the door September 30th, and if they're not out of the door, they are at least committed to projects, which Buildings and Grounds and Operations will discuss momentarily. Do you have any questions?
Like that, dollars out of the door. We're going to be looking for that report.
Any questions? Thank you, Dr. Reed.
Thank you.
Next, we'll have operational management, Dr. Wright. As he comes forward, a safe, secure, and positive environment will be conducive for teaching and learning is the core value represented in our operational management report.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, members of the board, and our Superintendent of Education. Thank you for allowing me to come up and to present the most outstanding division in the school district, which is the Division of Operational Management. Underneath the Operational Management Division, you have Buildings and Grounds, Student Nutrition, Transportation, Technology, School Safety and Security, and the Office of Student Athletics. Madam Chair, the first component of the report this afternoon is going to be about Buildings and Ground, and Buildings and Ground will be divided into two specific entities this afternoon. We're going to talk about ESSER-related projects, and then we're going to talk about capital improvement projects as laid out in your presentation for tonight. I'm not going to, for the sake of time, because I know time is of the essence, lay out every little aspect of this plan since you already have it written out for you, if that's okay, Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
All right. Madam Chair, I'd first like to emphasize that in that chart, you'll see projects, middle column, the scope of work and or the stage that we're in, and our current timeline in terms of that completion or where we are with that project. The first project I would like to mention tonight under the ESSER Facilities Improvement Project will be our nail and barbering project over at TCTC, in which we are very proud of. I just visited that again today prior to our meetings this afternoon, and I want to let you know that we are in final inspections. We still got a couple of punch-out list things we're still working on. The crew is over at the school. They're there early to make sure those punch-out lists and those things are taken care of. And while we've experienced some delays as a result of Tropical Storm Debbie, we project we'll still be on target of at least having that finished by the end of this month. In the transportation office, you'll see that we've had some slight delays. That includes signing of contracts and equipment order, working with the manufacturer to make sure that the HVAC equipment is improved and lead time is delivered, to include having the equipment lead time in specific increments based upon the 16-week projections that we had scoped into the plan, with an additional 4 weeks needed. Our estimated time right now, I cannot communicate that to you, but as soon as we clarify that for the board at our next presentation, I will be able to give the board a more clearer time on our timeline for completion. On the next slide regarding Blackstreet Elementary School, you'll see that the scope will be as follows. The equipment has been ordered. We revised contracts, reviews, commentary for changes by our district attorney, with turnaround times about 4 weeks before final execution. Work schedules for after-school hours and weekends have been implemented, and with the current equipment delivery schedule, projected completion is November 2024, hopefully with no unforeseen issues. Regarding the district roofing project, this project is currently on delay, and the purpose of the delay is dealing with having those contracts vetted by both our district attorney as well as our district architectural firm for specific language that was sent in, because we want to make sure that the language and scope of work that's placed in those contracts will be that in which I can make a recommendation to the superintendent for her signature, and to make sure that that scope of work is on target and the right work is on target. Madam Chair, you will see that we have the project scoped out for Colleton County Middle School HVAC as well as Colleton County High School roofing project. You'll see all the scope of work and stages information there, including timeline for implementation. I do like to emphasize about the Colleton County High School roofing project. You'll see that that project will be going into a rebidding process. And I got to tell you the reason why, Madam Chair, Madam Superintendent, upon my appointment as the new operations leader for the school district, I noticed that in those contracts it was riddled with some errors, and when those contract was bidded, there was some information regarding it was too high when it first initially came out, and as a fiscal conservative mindset for the school district, when those bids, from my perspective, comes in too high, I think it would be fiscally irresponsible for us to go with that when they're substantially too high. And so we are placing those things back out for rebid to hopefully we can get some other vendors, some other contractors to maybe have same scope of work, but substantially a little cheaper and come under the budget that the district has established for that project. Moving on to the next slide relating to capital improvement projects. These are our 8% funds. We have a parking lot project over at Colleton County Middle School. Bids received were over budgeted amount. That's another example of an over budgeted amount bid that came in. The division had reevaluated the bids, and we're exploring other options to include redesign, rebid, job audit contract, and other procurement methodologies. At this point, we anticipate that we'll have a decision made on which one of those procurement processes that we'll actually employ as we reevaluate this middle school parking lot concern. And you'll see the middle school bleachers, where we are with that. Our estimated timeline will be actually on the 11th, which is earlier this week. Equipment and part delivery and contracts are at the warehouse. Currently coordinating and installing the contractors with Southern Floors and CCMS administration staff to make sure that we can get them in without any disruption to the instructional program for the day.
Dr. Wright, may I ask you a question about the previously shared project at the middle school on bleachers? It's been reported that that might take place on the weekends, and my concern at this point is we're entering into volleyball season followed by basketball season. When would those bleachers be in use? I understand that there's timelines set, but and we don't want to disrupt the teaching and learning process for the school day, but how is it going to affect, you know, the sports seasons too?
Yes, ma'am. Hindsight 2020. These are the type of projects that should have taken place late spring, well into the summer. So by the time we started school, we would have been done. Moving forward, I cannot project to you yet, as of today, when that project, specifically timeline, will be done. But by the time we get back to our next regular board meeting on next Tuesday, the Office of Building and Ground will probably be able to give me, and I'll be able to see for myself, a more specific and clear timeline of completion to respond to your question, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you.
If that meets your approval.
It does.
Other capital improvement projects regarding our middle school track. Our Carlton County High School, regarding our Carlton County Middle School track, work for refurbishment of that work is currently in place. That thing is completed. For the construction of the new weight room at Carlton County Middle School, that work has been completed. And work on maintenance of the field, including overseeding, soil restoration, grass treatment, to name a few. These things are ongoing throughout the winter, spring, and fall season. And if you had an opportunity to visit the field already, you will see that that grass is pretty.
Also, the Collin County High School weight room looks terrific. The additions to that, the athletic staff is very proud of, as they should be, and I hope that our student athletes are appreciating that. It also looks really great with the new banners at the high school. It just, it screams school spirit, and that sounds good to me, so thank you.
Thank you. And that thanks goes to the athletic director as well as our director of Building and Ground, Mr. Hamilton, for making it happen. I can't take no credit for it, but just come in and support what the work has already been done.
Yes, sir.
The last information, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, members of the board, regarding Buildings and Ground will come from district painting and the Carlton County district-wide flooring projects. You'll see the timeline. Most of those have been completed for you and outlined. And I'm going to move on because Building and Ground is a lot, but it's there for you to see where we are so that you can have clear timelines and what's going on. I know you may have had many questions about a lot of the projects going on, but I hope that this helps answer and put some things into perspective for us. Moving on to the Office of Student Nutrition, we have a new Director of Student Nutrition. Her name is Christina Wallace, and Ms. Wallace will actually be starting with us as early as August 30th. We had to change the trajectory of her start time because her previous employee needed to give her more time to get out. So without going into further detail, because we're in an open session, she will not be able to start until August 30th. Moving on to the Office of Transportation, the updates, our Office of Transportation have had their statewide training. I was privileged to be a part of that statewide training with our director and all of his transportation providers. Drivers completed their dry runs, routing prior to day one. We did not anticipate when we were doing all of that training that Hurricane Debbie would have been coming and hitting us the way it did. I want to give a shout out to the Transportation Department for making those quick and immediate adjustments adjustments to help getting our kids to school and from school on day one when all of that rain was coming down. They are to be commended for the heavy lift and the work that they've done. And Mr. Gary is just an amazing director, so we want to thank them publicly and every bus driver for making that happen for our scholars, our students in Carleton County School District.
Amen.
The first day of school was a success. We had no injuries, no accidents, and no loss of students. It's surprising on the very day that we were trying to get kids home from a tropical storm. It's an uncommon day, and we had no kids get lost on the bus, no kindergarten still sleeping, nobody calling and saying my baby is still on the bus. It was just amazing. So again, kudos to the transportation department. And regarding staffing, we are needing to replace 2 drivers. We had 2 to resign during the month of July, and we are currently having 4 new transportation applicants going through the hiring process, and we're in the process of getting that done. Coming from the Office of Technology, another department that we got to give a shout out to, because we're talking about the weekend coming up to day one when we started getting all of the information about the impact Debbie was going to have on our community. William Zorn and the members of the technology department went into action when the superintendent gave me the word. We got actionary, and they got those Chromebooks ready to distribute to our kids on day one, even to our kids at the high school. It was tremendous work. It was quick turnaround, and the technology department came through for us. You'll see other technology-related work projects regarding the mobile laptop cards and devices for new employees laid out for you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Under the Office of School Safety and Security, we had an initial training on the standard response protocol. We introduced that to our middle school and secondary teachers during our district-wide professional learning on Thursday, August 1st. The instructional focus for the professional learning included scenario-based questions in which teams were asked, what would you do? And in deciding which SRP would be employed. Elementary teacher training will be scheduled for the month of August and September 2024, because as the Office of the Division of Instruction mentioned earlier, there was just so much in that professional learning we couldn't fit it all in, but we were able to capture all of our secondary, middle, and high school staff during that time. We have our model school safe school checklist that's coming up soon, and that's going to be submitted and be ready to submit on time according to board state regulations, and we'll be ready to go. The Division of Operational Management and Finance have prepared, signed, and executed the security contract with the Allied Security Group. They have been in place since day one, and they're still working. Under the Office of Student Athletics, the fall season has begun. Fall sports includes football, cheering, tennis, cross country, and volleyball. Athletics have postponed several events due to the inclement weather, and the athletic practice and contests that were scheduled have resumed as a result of the superintendent's initiative to get our kids back into school. Football scrimmages were scheduled for the 8th were canceled. They're resuming now. And I wanted to give the board a preview of a new South Carolina High School League change that's getting ready to come up. This change is regarding allowing students who attend small private schools in our community, enrollment with less than 200 students, the ability to participate in athletics in any public schools in the state of South Carolina within their attendance zone. We will receive more information about that in the coming weeks, but I wanted to apprise the board as a preview of that change is getting ready to impact us and it's getting ready to come. Lastly, nursing services, we're working in tandem with the Office of Student Athletics, and what the nurse, our lead nurse did, she went in and provided our coaches with professional development on how to use an EpiPen, what to do in an emergency situation, and it's all revolved around our emergency action plan under the Office of Athletics. Whew. Madam Superintendent.
Well done, Dr. Wright. I just wanted to, as far as the Office of Student Athletics, I just wanted to let the board know that the South Carolina High School League is actually having sessions for new superintendents, and they didn't have that before, so they sent me an invite, so I will be attending that training. I think it's either next Monday or the Monday after. So I'm excited about going to that meeting just to learn a little bit more about High School League and their their processes and procedures.
As the high school league governs our athletics, this board of directors does not, right? Right. I'm just making sure everybody knows that. We're governed by the high school league in athletics. This board does not govern athletics for our district. Thank you, Dr. Wright. We appreciate your report.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Are there any questions? 2 points of note, and that is this board meeting was early this evening in preparation for the Colleton County delegation meeting. We will be meeting with our state Senate and House representative members at the Colleton County Memorial Library at 6 o'clock, so please join us if you can, and so that they can see the support from our school district. Also, this board will meet again next Tuesday, August the 20th at 6 o'clock for our regular scheduled board meeting. Is there any other notes or remarks? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Madam Chair, make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. We now stand adjourned. I thank you very much.